Hi, it's Fountain here, and today I'm going to do a vlog on responsibility and what are you actually responsible for. Now, some could say responsibility is kind of a fine line between accountability and control. However, I see it as more of your ability to respond. So, responsibility, right? Your ability to respond to a situation that arises. Now, of course, you're responsible for yourself. Sure, we don't need to dispute that. On the micro level, obviously, I'm not going too macro here, people. We're just going to keep it about as micro as we can. But how far outside of yourself does that responsibility really extend to, I guess, is where I'm coming from when I'm sharing this. Now, I'm sure some of you would say things like children and pets, likely fall into that responsibility to a certain extent. And I'm not going to try and share perspectives outside of that in this vlog, just to keep it uncontroversial, if I can put it that way. And however, the point is, beyond that, how much more are we responsible for? Or is it just an opportunity for us to learn something, either about ourselves or community, or obviously you can go more macro than that, but let's keep it micro. So, yeah. So obviously, number one, you're responsible for all your actions, right? And obviously, children and pets to a certain extent. I'm sure I don't need to reiterate that again. However, you are not responsible for how people act to your actions, right? You could be to some extent. I'm sure some could say, but if you act in a particular way and you get a response from an animal, from something in nature, from a person, and you're like, that's not what I expected, or that's not this way, or I was worried that this would happen and now it has happened. Well, that's an opportunity for you to learn something about how your actions are and how that affects those around you, right? It's not for you to control their response, it's just for you to learn more about what your actions trigger in other people, other beings, right? And the second thing you're responsible for is your emotions, all the emotions that you hold and all the emotions that arise. However, not the emotions that others, shouldn't go around waving my hand too much there, not the emotions that others have in response to what you are holding or what's arising in you. Because sometimes, even if you're not actually communicating the emotion, or you're communicating a particular emotion but you're actually holding a different emotion, often people, whether they know or they don't know, will actually feel that. So, it's the old saying, fake it till you make it kind of thing. But sometimes people just people just in a know, or in a knowing that what is actually going on, whether they consciously recognize it or not. So that's why it's really good to do more inner work on yourself, obviously. Noticing things in yourself, owning what you need to, not attaching to things that you're not really yours, that you're not really responsible for. Obviously, those two things doesn't go without saying. Things like narcissism, well, that's a whole other thing. And obviously I'm not really talking about people just deciding they can just do whatever they want. They can act however they want, they can emote however they want, and not hold any kind of accountability for that. It doesn't mean it's a pass for you to just go around doing unhealthy things and live in an unhealthy way. But it's the old kind of saying of, you get back what you put out, right? So if you're moving around in your life in a way that is like a reflection of what you want to actually experience and what you want to see and what you want to bring forth in your life and in this world, right, then you will be more likely to get that back, right? we are likely to get that back. So whether you want to sit in a place of, I know it's, I'm not here to say one motion is better than the other, but say you want to move about your day in a real space of like anger, frustration. Of course you're going to like get all these reactions from the external and inner world that are going to show up in that way. But if you want to move around in the day in some kind of like joy or happiness, then you're more likely to experience some of that coming in. And that's what I mean by being responsible. Like if you're having a day where you're like, oh, nothing's going well, I feel like I got out of bed the wrong way, then you got to go back in and go, oh, well, no wonder all these things are continuing on, right? Because I'm deciding to hold myself in that place and not deciding, to try and get through those emotions, process them, release them, and then decide that you want to sit in another place. And yeah, of course, the most important of this video was noticing that you can't really control that much outside of you. You can to a certain extent, but it's not there for you to control. The only thing that you are responsible for, like I said, is your actions and your emotions, and how someone decides to show up. In reflection of that, that's not really in your control. If you want to meet someone in a loving and a compassionate place, and they want to come at you with like anger or something, cool. You don't have to take responsibility for that, unless of course you have done something to create that for them. But most of the time you haven't. And most of the time it's just an opportunity for you to learn something more about yourself, and obviously those in your community and in life, I guess. So yeah, it's just a reminder, obviously, just to enjoy the ride of learning to let go and taking responsibility when you're supposed to. That's it, really. So if you have any perspectives that you want to share about responsibility and what you're responsible for, sure, leave that in the comment section down below. You can also find me on a number of different social media platforms. You can ask me some questions there. Maybe you've got some vlog requests as well. I love getting requests about things to talk about. Gives me an idea of the kind of content that you'd like, and it also gives me an indication of like where you guys are at in your journey as well. And I will see you in the next vlog.